electronic meeting of Lebanon City Council, and we're starting right at 6 o'clock. So we'll start off with a flag salute. If you could stand, please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll have roll call, please.
Councillor Rees-Kemp is absent. Councillor Grizzle?
Here.
Councillor Steinhebel?
Here.
Councillor Boland's absent. Councillor Stouter?
Here.
And Councillor Furlow?
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, we have the consent calendar tonight. We have the agenda from the Lebanon City Council agenda for tonight. We have the board meetings from the Planning Commission of July 15th, and we have the council minutes of August 5th, 2020 special session and August 12th, 2020 regular session. I'll entertain a motion.
Approval. Move for approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, the consent calendar is passed. All right, I've got some proclamations, so sit back and I'll give you a tale. American Legion Day, September 16th, 2020 proclamation. Whereas the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 on September 16th, as wartime veterans organized based on the 4 pillars of Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, National Security, Americanism, and Children and Youth. And whereas the American Legion is an eminent community service organization with Legion posts worldwide, working a variety of programs that support the 4 pillars and benefits our nation's veterans, its services, members, their families, and the youth of America and its citizens. And whereas Legion members are dedicated to the upholding the ideals of freedom and democracy while working to make these differences in the lives of fellow Americans. And whereas the 2020 observance of the American Legion Day provides an opportunity to recognize the local Santiam Post 51 and the Legionnaires in our community for their community contributions. Now, therefore, I, Paul R. Aziz, Mayor of Lebanon, do hereby proclaim September 16th, 2020 as American Legion Day. And kind of right up the same alley there, we've got Constitution Week, September 17th through the 23rd. Proclamation, whereas September 17th, 2020 marks the 233rd anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas the U.S. Constitution defined 2 axioms for our nation, the first for basic human equality and the second for right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the U.S. Constitution declared that governing would be upheld by 3 branches, the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. And whereas through all its changes, the Constitution's foundation has endured and adapted. And whereas Constitution Week is an opportunity to acknowledge the work of our founding fathers and honor the U.S. Constitution. Now, therefore, I, Paul Aziz, Mayor of the City of Lebanon, do hereby proclaim September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week in the City of Lebanon and call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. And unfortunately, we're not in person because usually there's a representative of one of the organizations that brings us a little Constitution book. So we didn't get that this year. Next up, I see why Councillor Boland's not here tonight. Guess what? It's Fire Safety Prevention Week in October. Whereas the City of Lebanon is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, with homes being the location where people are the greatest risk of fire, and home fires killed 2,630 people in the United States in 2017, and fire departments responded to 357,000 home fires. And whereas smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, residents who have planned and practiced home fire escape plans are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Whereas Lebanon's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas this year's theme of look, listen, and learn, be aware, fire can happen anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Therefore, I, Mayor Paul R. Aziz, do hereby proclaim October 4th through the 10th, 2020 as Fire Prevention Week, and urge everyone to develop and practice home fire escape plan with your entire household and participate in the public safety activities of Lebanon's Fire Department during this week. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Councillor Bowen is quite busy with the fires that are going all around. And I just want to send out a big, big thank you to the Lebanon Fire District and the hard work that they're doing. As I was on a conference call with the other mayors and the governor, they were saying that basically the fires are 0% contained, especially the big ones, 0. And they cannot contain those until the weather changes, and that's probably 12 to 24 hours. So we're still kind of stuck. They can't even really fight the fire right now. All they're doing is saving lives and making sure people get out safely. So a big, big thanks to all of our first responders. They're tired. The governor signed, I think it's called, and please correct me if I'm wrong, conflagration, I believe it is, where the different units all over throughout the state can move from one place to another to help other cities, kind of a mutual aid thing like we have in the police. And with that, there is no available units to move anywhere. So that's scary too. Everybody's so tapped out that they're just out there fighting the fire. So our thoughts and prayers are out with the firefighters and first responders and people out there. Thank you for all you're doing for us. Next up, National Night Out, October 6th, 2020. Whereas the National Association of Town Watch sponsors a nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention campaign entitled National Night Out on October 6th, 2020. And whereas National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for Lebanon to join forces with other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. And the community plays a vital role in assisting the Lebanon Police Department through local joint crime prevention efforts and by supporting Lebanon's National Night Out. And whereas it's essential that all citizens of Lebanon be aware of the importance of crime prevention measures, programs, and the impact of their participation can have on reducing such crimes. Whereas police, community partnerships, and neighborhood safety awareness and cooperation are important themes in the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Paul R. Aziz, hereby proclaim Tuesday all citizens to join the Lebanon Police Department in supporting the annual National Night Out campaign. Now, Chief, did you have anything you want to say about that? Like what they're going to be doing as far as social distancing or anything for the event, or how it's going to go this year? Because I know it's a lot different.
Yeah, we'll be practicing all the social distancing, wearing masks and whatnot. We'll just be visiting neighborhoods instead of having everyone come to a certain area, and more of a just coming and visiting type situation rather than what we've done in the past, which, with the COVID, we have to practice all the safe social distancing and whatnot. So.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a real shame too, because it's one of the funner events that we have in town, or more fun, I should say. But we have a great time out there, and the kids do. It's a great community time to come together. And what better time would it be to come together than now? And unfortunately, we can't. So thank you guys for still doing something and recognizing our police department. And I know the community will come out in droves for you. Okay, so with that, got that out of the way. And at this point, we have public comments. I've received one public comment from the Downtown Association. And was there any other ones that the clerk received?
No public comments were received.
Thank you. Okay, I will go ahead. Did you guys receive a copy of the Downtown Association's document? Do I need to read it? I'll go ahead and read it just for the public's sake, since they can't actually be here to do it themselves. So the Lebanon Downtown Association's Concert Steering Committee achieved great success with the completion of the Summer Bands and Brews concert series that ended on August 29th with physical distancing in place. The venue averaged about 55 people. This effort would not have been possible without the help of dedicated weekly volunteers. The concert steering committee is already looking forward to next year. If you'd like to support summer bands and brews and other LD events, go to LebanonDowntownAssociation.com, donate and fundraisers. If your business would like to become a sponsor, contact Cassie Cruz. The Economic Vitality Committee's spacewalk gained greater attention after a front page spread in the Lebanon Express and being featured in the Alma Democrat Herald. Spacewalk takes viewers, entrepreneurs, and business owners through the available spaces in downtown Lebanon. Spacewalk gives future tenants and buyers the ability to see a space within the comforts of their office or home. For the most recent video, check out the LDA website. The next video is of the Old Lee Enterprises building. The Lebanon Downtown Association partnered with the City of Lebanon's Economic Development Catalyst, Alicia Rogers, to take the Chamber of Commerce Gateway Leadership class on a walking tasting tour of downtown. The class saw before and after pictures of buildings that received funding from the Downtown Building Restoration Program. Then the group hit the streets for a tasting tour of downtown. The group enjoyed 6 different downtown restaurants, toured the old Andrews Building on Main Street and West Grant, and the Weatherford Building on Main Street and East Grant. And the tasting tour was a highlight with success. The Lebanon Downtown Association will launch the Taste of Downtown, more details to come. And a plan is underway to safely implement downtown trick-or-treat details to come. All right. That's our public comment section. And first item on the agenda is a public hearing. So the public hearing for planning file number A2005, a request by Ross Latimer to annex property and establish the corresponding residential mixed density Z0RM is now open at 6:12 p.m. Your patience is appreciated as the city attorney goes through the required hearing procedure document.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Somewhat different quasi-judicial hearing procedures based on the format of the hearing. My understanding is the format of the hearing has been provided in the notice as it relates to and requested that people sign up and request to be heard during the public hearing, either for or against. I'm not sure, Kelly, has anybody signed up?
No,
So there hasn't been anybody signed up. Has there been any written?
no.
Okay, so I can go, I'm going to make this very short then. We still have to state on the record that if there were going to be any comments, those comments would need to stick to the terms as described in the relevant criteria described in the staff report or others in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations. Failure to raise an issue, including constitutional issues or other issues related to the proposed conditions of approval, if any, accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the city council and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issues, precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals. We can go ahead and proceed and ask if there are any conflicts of interest or bias.
Thank you, Trey. Do any councilors want to declare ex parte contact or conflict or bias with this case?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, let's see. Have any comments regarding objections to the notice that was sent in this case to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case has been received by the Community Development Director?
No, sir.
Okay. Will the Community Development Director please present the staff report?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Before you tonight is a proposed annexation for residential property located at 2120 Stoltz Hill Road. Subject property is a combined 0.72 acres in size, and it has approximately 107 feet of street frontage along Stoltz Hill. The portion of Stoltz Hill Road along the frontage of the subject property would be annexed into the city as well as part of this proposal. The property is to the south and west, including the public right-of-way, is located within city limits, and therefore the site is contiguous to city boundary and eligible for annexation. The property is a developed residential neighborhood. To the south and west are residential properties in the city limits with the zoning designation of residential mixed use. To the north and east are residential properties in the county unincorporated area with the city within the city's urban growth boundary and the comprehensive plan designation of residential mixed density. The subject properties are improved with an existing single family residence and a detached garage structure. City sewer, water, and storm drainage are available in Stoltz Hill Road directly to the south of the subject properties, and upon annexation, the applicant intends to extend the city utility services across the length of their property. As part of this proposal, there is no development included as part of the application, and so there's nothing to consider other than the annexation itself. The staff report provided in the agenda packet provides a detailed analysis of the required review criteria and recommended findings for how the proposed annexation meets the requirements for annexation. And generally speaking, the criteria can be met as the property is contiguous and eligible for annexation, and the applicant is accepting the first zoning of residential mixed density, and therefore the site use and any future development is consistent with the established zone and is able to accommodate the existing, to be accommodated within the existing city facilities master's plans. So with that, that concludes my report. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and the recommended action tonight would be to approve ordinance bill number 2020-11 and ordinance number 2951.
Thank you, Kelly. And does council have any questions of staff? Okay, see none. Has the community development director received any comments on the public hearing?
No, sir.
And the public hearing is closed at 6:17 p.m. Council discussion? See none. Will the city attorney please read the title of the ordinance?
Sorry, I got to get back to it. I had one computer die and I'm charging the other one. There we go. Ordinance bill number 2020-11, ordinance number 2951, a bill for an ordinance annexing and zoning property following consent filed by the city council by landowners in said area pursuant to ORS 222.120 and ORS 222.170, file A20-05, Ross Latimer.
Move to
Okay.
approve.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance bill. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The ordinance is passed. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, first up on the regular agenda, number 2 is adoption of the cybersecurity policy. And Brent, unfortunately, isn't here. And we'll have that presented by Matt, I believe.
That's correct. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Part of what we do at the city is we manage our risk in various ways. CIS has come out with some cybersecurity insurance that we're able to get. Part of the requirement this year is that we implement a cybersecurity policy. We have until October 1st to have that implemented. Well, that policy adopted. If we're still implementing pieces of it, that's okay, but we need to have the policy in place. So that's really what this is. We took the template that CIS had created and we merged it with the things that the city does and doesn't do. This is a policy that will continue to grow and probably get more specific as we go forward. But I guess, are there questions about it that I can maybe answer? And I know Andy's on here and he might have some opinion as well.
I had a couple questions, a couple things I wanted to address. On page 5, kind of middle of the page, it's the last bullet in the section on where possible multi-factor authentication, blah, 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 blah. At the bottom, it says responsibility of the IT director to ensure that all employees and contractors who separate from the organization have system access removed within 30 days. That normally is immediately. Normally, in most situations, when someone's leaving the city, unless there's some extenuating circumstances. It's usually immediately. So I think that should be changed to either immediately or within 24 hours or something, I think. And that'd be something Brent could look at, but I really think.
May I speak to that one?
Yes, please.
I apologize for that. We definitely meant to get that to be immediately. We can make that
Okay.
change.
Okay.
From an IT side, we have no complaints there, if that works for you guys.
Yeah, I think that's a critical part, especially with the sensitivity of some documents and data and things like that. I think that's a good idea.
Very much
Okay.
agree and apologize for the oversight.
Oh, no problem. And then on 11, let's see here. 9, 10, 11. Let's see. I think I may be on the wrong page. I wrote it down earlier. I don't see it now. It's the response part, and it said that this person needs to be notified and this person, and it didn't mention the mayor and the city manager, and I think those should be on that part where it says these people should be notified. I just can't find it right off the top of my head. Response plan. Law enforcement.
That's on page 11 in the middle
Oh,
of the
I
page.
see it.
Notifications.
It's number 2
Oh, yeah.
under electronic incidents.
Thank you. Yeah, report the incident to the IT director, risk advisor. It might even have been another location, but I think also in notifying the city manager and the mayor at least, so that information internally is known, even though it's not necessarily a public issue. What do you think about that, Andy?
I think that's a great idea. I don't see any reason why we can't make those changes as well.
Okay. And the rest of it looked pretty good, and it did look kind of boilerplatey, but I'm sure it'll grow as our needs change and as things happen. But it looks really good. Thanks for your work on that. I know that's hard creating a new thing when we don't have one in place, and that it was good work. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank
Mayor,
you.
Can I clarify on that? Are you wanting on page 11 under the notification section where it says if any electronic or physical security incident is suspected to have resulted in the loss of third party or customer data, notification of the public or affected entities should occur, and then have you and the city manager listed as one of those options or one of those notifications?
Yes, that's exactly where I was looking at. Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So we can add that as one of those.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, I thought he was talking about electronic incidents.
Well, this covers both of them
Okay,
in that section.
okay.
Any other council comments on that?
Those are great, both great catches. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. With that, no other questions. Go ahead and I'll take a motion.
I'm going to go ahead and move to approve the cybersecurity policy with the amendments as suggested by the mayor on page 5 with the verbiage immediately as opposed to 30 days, and page 11 notification adding the city manager and the mayor on that page.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the cybersecurity policy for the city of Lebanon. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, it's passed. Again, thanks, Andy, and pass that on to Brent. That great job. Okay, number 3, correction on subdivision fees on the fee schedule. Matt Hapkin.
So it was brought to my attention after last meeting that the subdivision plat fees on the fee schedule were flipped. Previously, the more expensive fee was the tentative plat line, and then the final plat line was less because you've done all the work for the most part in the tentative one. So really it was nothing more than that, but we'd like to make that change and felt we needed to come back to council since it was part of the fee schedule to do that.
Okay, any questions? Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, I would recommend that we correct the error and update the fee schedule.
Okay, council questions?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the correction on the subdivision fees on the fee schedule. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Utility billing update due to COVID-19. And guess who? Matt Atkin again.
Hello again. So, just for a quick update to begin with, last meeting we discussed sending out notices and then also getting a phone call out to people. We worked with the software company that does our phone calls. We were only able to get that wording updated as of yesterday. So those phone calls have not gone out, but we did get the letters out to everyone. And I think overall, I knew there was something I forgot as I walked in here tonight. Overall, the dollar amount from last month to this month went up about $10,000 of total past due amounts, which isn't that significant. I think there were a total of 379 accounts that were past due. And so we're not seeing a huge influx, but I have reached out to other cities, and I can tell you that every city that I've talked to has either restarted doing their lockoffs or has plans to do so by the beginning of October. That includes Salem, Corvallis, Albany, Sweet Home, Cottage Grove, all the other cities. Most of them are doing the thing that we talked about last time and being very flexible with payment options if they are locked off, so that way they can get on some type of plan to move forward. We've looked into other options of helping people fund their utilities through the Community Services Consortium. They've pretty much said we don't have any money for water utilities. We've looked at various other community development block grants for things like this that we were told at one point, yeah, you could probably use this for it. They've come back and said, yeah, those aren't going to work for that either. So at this point, there is no other revenue source that we can tap into to kind of help people out at this point. That could change as Congress and the Senate meets and work on another stimulus plan. At this point, we really have no idea what's going to happen. I guess Ron and I have talked about this today. My recommendation would be that we look to start doing lockoffs with that flexible arrangement if someone is locked off in October. Comments from you guys?
Comments from council?
I'll start off. Well, sometimes, though I know that you weren't able to reach out like you wanted to be able to, sometimes I think when, like, I know for me, sometimes I put off something. Like, for example, I just finished putting the trim back on my front window that I haven't done because it was hidden behind the drapes for forever. I finally got off my rear end because I'm forced inside the house to get it done. And so sometimes I think when we get a notice, hey, this is going to happen, that sort of sparks you to step up and, hey, I need to contact the city and I need to make a plan to make a payment plan. And I'm probably more in favor of that. I've been reaching out to numerous folks out in the community, asking this very question. And though they all agree, it's unfortunate when someone can't pay their bill, but they also understand the perspective of if we keep allowing people to get buried further and further behind, you can't dig out of that. And in the end, everybody that I talked to felt like it was a responsibility that people had to do and just make a payment plan. Everybody was totally good with that. They didn't, that wasn't the issue. It was more just taking kind of the responsibility. So I would be in favor of kind of getting this going. I understand, it's never pleasant. Let's put COVID aside. It's never pleasant when this has to happen. But I think we move forward, and I trust Matt's judgment. And when people say, hey, I can afford this much, then we start there.
I'm going to echo that. And I had people actually initiate contact with me, encouraging us to move forward. I don't think it's in anybody's best interest for us to continue to bury people deeper, especially if we can help you, if you'll contact us. And I think of the number that you're talking about, Matt, it was quite a bit lower number that was last time. Maybe it was like 150, 160 of the that would have been locked off. And of that, I want to say, maybe I'm making these numbers up, but of that, 121 of them were not new to this. This was pre-COVID kind of habitual. Am I in the ballpark?
Yes, I think last time it was like 131 were more than 3 months past due, and of that 131, 119 were repeat offenders.
Right. I'm ready to start the process again with the understanding that we're in a pandemic. If we need to make arrangements with somebody so that they have water, clean running water, we make arrangements, but they must contact us and they must make some arrangements and make an effort to get caught up. So that's where I am.
I wasn't here the last meeting, so I missed the discussion, but I did watch it and looked at the minutes. And I agree with Karen and Rebecca that we do need to get started. But we do need to be flexible with people and try and do what we can to mitigate these problems so that it doesn't just spiral out of control. And yeah, seeing that it's a huge amount of the people that are kind of the common, frequent flyers, I guess call them. That kind of just goes to show that we really need to keep up on this because it's just going to get worse and worse. So yeah, I agree. Anybody else on the council?
So this is Michelle, and my position on this still hasn't changed. I would prefer that we not resume lockoffs for water for all the reasons I stated in the previous meeting. Again, as I said in the previous meeting, I understand I'm going to be in the minority, and I certainly understand the city's position and our responsibility to our residents to, be fiscally responsible. But on the same rate, I'm also concerned with those that, can't pay their water bill, and again, shutting it off in the middle of COVID, when we know that hand washing and access to clean water is very important. So
we lost you, Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I guess I don't know where I cut off, but I'm still
in City Hall?
Yes, I can hear you in City Hall.
Mayor, can you hear us in City Hall?
Yes, I can.
We can't hear anybody else.
Oh. Yeah, I can hear Michelle fine. She never cut out on mine.
I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call it back. Sorry, we're going to be right back.
Okay.
Okay. I guess I'll hang tight.
Right in the middle of your speech.
I know, right? I was all ready to go, and no. Okay. In summation, I'm still a no, but understand the position we are in. So, end of story.
I'm just waiting to hear from you guys at City Hall.
Same here.
Did you guys pay your electrical bill? Sorry.
I don't know, Mayor, did they?
I hope so. Yeah, in fact, City Hall looks frozen, actually. Oh, now they're moving.
Well, it wouldn't be a meeting without a distant meeting without at least one curveball.
Very true.
We can join them in from the surfaces as well, but I think Matt's on the right track with the reset the conference phone.
Okay.
Just have to say, I'm really glad that it's not me this time.
But you were talking, so.
I was in the
At the
middle of
time.
my speech, right? No.
Yeah. You guys hear us at City Hall yet? I take that as a no. Hey, Andy, do you want us to maybe take a 5-minute recess and just stop the broadcast completely? And Michelle, you can have the floor if you'd like. Finish up your little speech.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Let's restart that.
Okay.
I guess I'm still not in favor of resuming the water lock-offs. As I said, I understand the fiscal position we are in as a city, and but I also understand, I guess, what this means for folks not having access to clean water, and that to me is a greater concern at this moment. But again, I know that I'm going to be in the minority in this, and that's okay. We need to move forward with what we need to move forward with, but that is very much a concern of mine.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
And anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, this is Robert. I also agree with Michelle. I'm very concerned about shutting off water in the midst of an epidemic. When we want people to be washing their hands and taking care of themselves appropriately, if they make any attempt at all to establish a relationship with us, I want them not to have their water shut off.
Okay. Anyone? I think we've gone around with everybody. Okay, so at this point, it sounds like it's 3-2, I think, on the consensus. So at this point, then Matt, it would be okay to go ahead and proceed with that, with the fact that we're concerned about the people and not having water. We want to make sure we do everything we can possible to help them, whether it's maybe a fee gets dropped or whatever it is, that we can help them out. And we want to make sure that we get those notifications out as much as possible on the phone and via letter too, before we start doing any of this.
Definitely. So I think
one other question.
Go for it.
So if we do in fact shut someone's water off, and they do then after the fact make contact with us saying, they can give us whatever it is that they can give us, do they have to then pay that bill in full to be reconnected, or is it something that they can be reconnected with whatever they can do at the time?
So what I'm seeing other cities do at this point is they would make some payment, likely not the whole thing, but then they would set up a payment plan, and going forward, they would continue to make that payment plus their current bill. I wouldn't see us doing anything different than that. So my hopes would be if anyone were locked off, it would be a very short period of time for them to figure it out and then come and say, hey, I need to figure out how to get this working. And then we would quickly figure out what's going to work for their situation to get their water back on. I wouldn't expect anyone's water to be off, hopefully more than the first day.
Okay,
But-
thank you for that clarification, Matt. And
Yeah.
no, I think that's it. That's all I have on that. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Sounds like, is that all you needed, was just a consensus on this? We didn't need a motion? Or do you need a motion?
Correct. I think we just needed a consensus to move forward, and we will do so as we discussed.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
All right, number 5, refinance the RS or R56200 wastewater DEQ loan.
Hello again. I feel like I'm speaking all night tonight, but
We feel like it too.
well, I come with good news. There was another loan that we started looking at that we were able to discuss with the last loan and throw it in with it to get refinanced at a lower rate. We got back some from our RFP on our last refi discussion that we had, a rate of 1.47. And so we're going to save, if we add this loan to the other one, we're going to save over $400,000 over the next 10 years in payments. The net present value of that is about $380,000, but it's going to free up some money for us. So I would recommend that we add this one to the last one and allow us to refinance this. I'm open to any questions.
It's a no-brainer. I move that we approve the refinance.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the refinance of the wastewater DEQ loan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Oh, I do need the city attorney to read the resolution number. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
There it is.
Trey, you're muted.
I think somebody else mutes me. Resolution number 2020-19, a resolution authorizing the issuance and negotiated sale of a full faith and credit financing agreement and notes to refinance outstanding obligation of the city, designating an authorized representative, financial advisor, and special counsel and related matters.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 2020-19. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? The resolution passes. Thank you, Trey. And thank you, Matt, for your diligence on this kind of stuff, because $500,000 over a few years is not bad at all. And, you know, just to cut that interest out is great. Very, very, very fiscally responsible. I appreciate it. Okay, number 6, approval to award the owner's representative administrative oversight contract for the West Side Interceptor Phase 5, and that would be Ron Whitlatch tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. So this is the next step in our what seems like a snail's pace to get the West Side Interceptor off the ground. Unfortunately, the bar changed multiple times with what we had to have and what we needed to move through to get the DEQ loan. But it looks like we're getting close. Our permit for wetlands will be sent to the Corps of Engineers for approval, which could take 4 to 6 months. So that's why we're starting this now. But what we have before you tonight is an owner's rep contract with David Evans and Associates. If you remember back, they're the ones that did the modeling for the West Side Interceptor and helped us with pipe sizing. And when you have federal funds, which is what the DEQ money is, you have to be able to handle federal aid money, which the city is not. We haven't gone through the training and the process of that. And we don't have anybody on staff that does that. So we've typically in the past, similar to what we've done with our water treatment plant, have hired somebody to do that portion of it. In that process, they will also write the RFP for our CMGC contract, help us select the contractor, and do a lot of the initial like stuff going through the value engineering and that type of work with this. So it's a $122,000 contract. There'll likely be an amendment to that for construction services, but until we got a contractor on board, I didn't feel it was necessary to have that piece until we get a CMGC contractor on board. And will likely be November that we'll request exemption from public bidding. If you remember back, that's the same process that we went through with the water treatment plant. You exempt from public bidding and then you do it through proposals. Cost is factored into that with your contractors, and then you review proposals based on a set of criteria that you select the best contractor to do the job. So that's the direction that we're headed. And with that, I would recommend that we pass a motion to approve this contract, and I can answer any questions.
Okay, questions for Ron? Nope. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the proposal that to have the Evans Group monitor our project.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the West Side Interceptor Phase 5 oversight contract. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ron. Okay, update on wastewater treatment plant operational transition. Ron Whitlatch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's no action required on this. I just thought it'd be a good idea to get council up to speed on what's happened. Back on August 5th, council unanimously voted to terminate the contract with Jacobs Engineering Group. We set that for August 31st as their last day to operate the plant. We had a meeting with them to kind of do a transition, you know, what's this going to look like. That was held on the 18th. And we took over on September 1st, operations. It's been interesting. We're learning a lot. Some of the things that we've done, 5 of the Jacobs employees, we've got them on a temporary basis, so 30-day temporary basis. As temporary employees to the city. It's likely that we will be putting those job descriptions out for permanent positions here within the next 2 weeks. It's given us an opportunity to meet them, understand what their credentials are, and also kind of gear us up for the plant. I would say that we will probably hire 1 additional person as a staff person out there as well, just based on the amount of work that there is to do out there. When Jacobs ran it, there was 8 people out there. This would make 7 because we have entered into a contract with Jim Allred, who is our designated person in charge. He's a Class 3 operator. He's been around forever and knows treatment plants real well. So he is doing the supervisory stuff along with our technical experts, Kennedy Jenks, and then we have Dale Richwine that's helping us as well. We've got city staff that's out there right now doing various things. 2 people from our collections crew are out helping with maintenance stuff, such as pumps. We turned the cannibal system off and are running back to the aerobic digester and trying to clean the plant out of solids, I guess, if you will. We've got a new belt press that we have on a rental right now to see if it's going to do what we want it to do. It's being set up right now. And then we're working on an IGA to continue our solids handling with Albany should we need it. I think with everything that we're doing, we may not need it. So the idea is to use the belt press in the interim. I don't think this is a long-term solution. In the interim and landfill our solids. We've had our IT staff out there. Gosh, they've been busy. Brent, Andy, Nico, Casey, They came in like a flash and got everything up and running. We're still, you know, slowly walking through. We've still got systems that we've got to get up into place, but for the most part, it's going pretty well. There's things that we're going to have to put money into the plant. We're finding pumps that are old and valves that don't work, and just some things that we're going to have to put some money into. And so what we've done is taken some of our capital funds that we were going to use on collection system this year, and we've held those aside until we really know what we're getting into in a short term here and moving forward. So with that, I can answer any questions you have. I just want to give you a brief update. I know we're going to have an executive session tonight on some of this, and I just want to give you an update in the public session, let you know how things were going. So I can answer any questions.
Is Jason the main, like the overall director out there?
So yes, Jason lives out there right now.
Okay.
Right now, we have people, we'll probably haul solids from daylight to dark 7 days a week. And so they're just to get it out, you know, but he's overseeing that. But Jim Allred, once things get into place, why he'll be the main supervisor, which will report to Jason. It'll come in our operation.
Ron, those things that we're fixing out there, those are things we would have had to fix anyway, or things that they should have told us were broken? I mean, what's up with that?
Yes and no. So some of the things, let's take valves, for instance. We've got valves that are non-operational, which means to me that they weren't exercised and they weren't taken care of. Pumps, yes, pumps break. You've got to replace them. Our treatment plant is old, and I'm just not sure. We probably should be putting more into keeping our pumps up and more current than what they are. I think there's a lot of energy hogs in the pumps that we have, and we're finding these things out.
Okay.
Without getting into too much detail.
Yeah, and again, in that same thought, not getting into too much detail, what is that rental stuff that we're doing, the squisher or whatever that was? What does that do?
What is it?
I probably don't want to know, but
you actually don't want to know. So what it does is it takes sludge that'll come out of our digester, comes off the clarifiers. We'll be able to take it off of our clarifiers or out of the digester. So if it's off the clarifiers, it's a non-class solids, i.e. it's not, you can't field apply it. Only thing you can do is landfill it. Or you can take it off the digester, which means it's a class B biosolids, which means you could land apply it, which is what we want to do most of because that's the cheapest alternative. However, we know that until we get a new solid handling system in place, we're not going to be able to do that. So this just gives us the option to make a cake out of it, put it in a dumpster. Republic Services comes and gets it and takes it in landfill. It's the same process that Albany uses right now, or similar to what Albany does. They landfill it until they can find a long-term solution. We're fortunate in the fact that we've got good fields to apply to. Our technical team is ecstatic about the fields that we have to apply to. The problem is we've got a really small digester right now. I'm probably going into way too much detail. It takes 5 days to fill it. So in those 5 days, you're not hauling solids out. Each day we accumulate an additional 2 truckloads of solids. So then it takes 5 days to haul out all those solids, and you can't fill until then. So what you end up doing is you really never end up catching up. So that's why we turned the big aerobic digester back on, which will allow us to catch back up and eliminate the solids and deal with them a little bit better until we find a permanent solution.
And that's not too much detail. That's perfect. Just what I want to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It was a little too much for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I'm
the
so
person.
sorry.
Yeah, I won't even go there. Okay. Any other questions? No, we'll just move on this one. Anything else, Ron, you need from us, or was that just the
No,
update?
I just wanted to give you an update on where we were at. It was a pretty big deal, you know, for us to take that over, and I just want to make sure that you guys are apprised the whole way. So.
Okay, thank you. And next up is your city manager's report.
Yes, indeed it is. I was going to go through it all for Rebecca tonight, but now I'm not going to. I was going to read it line by line, but if you have any questions on it, let me know. There are a couple of things that didn't get put on there. I had a meeting which kind of ties into where the world is right now with the Lebanon Fire Chief, the Sweet Home Fire Chief, and the Sweet Home City Manager, I think a couple of weeks ago. Frank wasn't able to go, and we talked emergency management and how ill prepared we are, and things that we need to do to get prepared. And one of the topics that came up that we want to investigate is what it would look like to have an emergency management person that served all 4 of our needs. And, you know, we're tied really close with our fire department, so each agency would pay a quarter or a third of that. I can't remember how Sweet Home set up with their city, but so something we're looking at in the future. I just want to make you aware of that. Frank and I will be digging into that quite a bit more with Joe Redondi, our fire chief, and Sweet Home. I think it makes good sense because I don't know that we have enough work for a full-time person. Obviously, somebody would have to house that person, a lot of details to work out, but just know that's the direction we're going. And we also did budget, we budget $100,000 this year for emergency management, whether it be supplies, whether it be, you know, getting us a little more geared up. I think COVID kind of led us to that. And I think if you look at what's going on with the fires and you start thinking about, all right, well, what's our evacuation route? We need to be more in tune with that. And so that's one way that we can do it. So stay tuned for more on that. We're still in the infinite stages of it, but we are kind of headed down that path. We did do, speaking of fire update, we did open our Cheetah Lake Park up today to people that need to park trailers. You know, if you've got a trailer or a boat or something that you had to get out of there, we're more than happy to accommodate it there at the parking lot. Our guys went out and set up barricades. We've got signs up out there that show where to go, and we'll see if anybody uses that. We've let Lynn County Emergency Operations know that that's open and available for them to use. So we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how many more people are evacuated and need space. So one other thing, Matt had a credit card transaction fee. So with credit card use, as we're going to more online services, there is a 3% fee.
So when we're looking at doing an online miscellaneous payment system, they charge a fee. I think it's 2.95% of the transaction to do this process. Most of what's going through there is going to be just your miscellaneous. Somebody wants to pay their SDCs off or make a payment on their SDCs. Most of our building permits all go through the state system. Various liquor license or just any of the miscellaneous fees that the city has. We've worked with Paymentus to try and get a system set up. We got down to the master service agreement and wanted to make sure before we put the city's name on the line that we're okay with passing that fee along to the customers. There's the option to pay with a credit card, which the fee would be the 2.95%, or you could pay with an e-check and it would be a flat 75 cents to make that payment.
It's fairly common. It's fairly common to do that, and it's very expensive to process those. So I think, and Visa just changed the rules. I don't even know, it's like 2 or 3 years back, so that you could pass that along to your consumer, and it makes sense because there are alternatives generally. You know, if you're paying a $2,000 or $5,000 SDC, that's going to be significant. But you also know if you're paying that, there are ways that you could pay to avoid that fee. It's really a convenience. And so I say go for it.
We didn't want to add it to the fee schedule just for the very reason that Matt talked about. We didn't want to incorporate that percentage in because there are a lot of people that pay other various ways, and we didn't want to attach an additional percentage. This is strictly pass-through. It's not anything that we're trying to cover our costs other than that pass-through.
But you could disclose it on the fee schedule. I mean, you could say anything, you know, like as a footnote on the bottom, fees paid by a footnote that just say fees paid by credit card may be subject to a credit card thing, you know, just something where you're disclosing that.
Which they will. What I'm saying is we didn't want to attach 3% additional to each of our fees as just that flat portion.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the
Makes
system
sense.
will
I like it.
actually tell them what their cost is for the city, and then it will say they're going to be paying a transaction fee, and that fee goes directly to Paymentus, and it's not incorporated with what the city actually gets. This will help with some of our cybersecurity stuff. Paymentus is going to be the ones that keep all the information, all the credit card data, so we don't have to deal with if that information is getting out. It's on them to keep track of.
So is this only for paying fees or for like paying your water bill and those?
So utilities are still going through Springbrook. They have their own online system. We may look at moving to them, but they offer a discounted rate if the city would cover the fees for utilities. They get a better processing rate from the credit card companies. And so currently the city covers those processing fees. I would assume if we moved over to that for utilities, we would continue to cover those for utilities.
So we just want to make sure that you guys were aware, in case you heard, you know, somebody was irritated with it, you just at least have the information. So. And I think that's it, Mr. Mayor, on this end.
All righty. Any other questions of the city manager? Actually, isn't this your last report, or is there one more?
I know Nancy's out there somewhere. She can hear this. I'm looking forward to that. It's actually been good, but we need somebody else in here that can help us. I've got too much other stuff to do.
Well, we appreciate all the work you've done, and in this time that you took this job over, pretty darn amazing, and really appreciate your leadership and skills to be able to carry the city through. I'm really excited about Nancy. I think she's going to be a great fit for us, and it gives us some stability moving forward. So that's great. Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
Okay, items from council.
We had gotten an email from Kim about the USS Oregon. I wonder if anyone else read that and kind of what we would like to do as a city for that.
I did. I saw it, and I don't know. I wasn't thrilled with spending city money on something like that, but I mean, not that I don't like the military or the Navy. My father was in the Navy, so I love the Navy, but I don't know. That's my opinion. I don't see us needing to spend money on something like that to help with a boat.
Mr. Mayor, I'm of the same opinion as a military brat myself, Navy brat, in fact. I think that if that's something we want to support, it's best to probably do individually.
Anything else? Anybody else on that?
On a separate thing, I wanted I wanted to thank Chief Stevenson. I noted that in his report there was the document of the one use of force incident with no. I asked about that like back in April or something. So thank you for including that in there, and I really truly appreciate it.
Very good. I'll just mention something. Last night I did a quick live update on Facebook, just kind of talking to the community about the fires. The biggest thing yesterday was people calling the police and the fire department because there was smoke in their house or whatever, and there were other really serious issues that needed to be handled. So that was the one piece of information we need to get out. And the other was to be prepared, because we are not out of the woods yet. And from what I hear, the fire going towards Sweet Home is still going towards Sweet Home. I'm not trying to scare everybody, but it's still there. The one that's down south towards the Detroit Lake area is still raging. It's coming again, kind of this direction. Everything's rolling west off the side of the Cascades. So we still have another probably 24 hours of this bad weather. And then once that changes, hopefully, then the firefighters can start working on containing these blazes. But right now we're in a bad situation. And lastly, I just want to mention, Lebanon has not been in a evacuation order level at all, and to this moment, and still is not. So I know yesterday it was reported on social media that we were in we're not in a lockdown, but in an evacuation level 1 or 2 or whatever it was. But we have not been. We're situated pretty good in Lebanon. We're kind of open and clear all around us. There's obviously places that could burn, and there's trees and things that could happen in fields, but we're in pretty good situation. Sweet Home, Brownsville, those places are just covered all around, surrounded with vegetation. So it's tough. Just be ready, get your bug out bag. I did one yesterday, got my medical supplies, got all the important stuff so that if we need to leave, we can leave. I doubt it's going to happen in Lebanon, but it's better to be prepared. So I think that's all I'll say on that. But I just want to make sure that the community knows that the city's been working. We've got that parking area, not necessarily it's going to help our citizens, but it's going to help our neighbors to be able to park things, boats, whatever it is, trailers, if they're being evacuated. So that's a great thing. And I appreciate, Ron, you working with the Lynn County and getting that done today too. I appreciate that. That's all I have. Any other comments from council? Okay. And then last, press comments. Do we have any of the press that would like to ask any questions?
No questions. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. And our next scheduled meeting is September 23rd, 2020 at 6 p.m. And it's a special meeting. And at this point, we're going to recess the regular session and move into the executive session